Amelia is new to ICFL, just started yesterday or the day before yesterday, I think. So welcome aboard, and she'll be listening in today. So today we're going to be talking about connecting our community members with employment resources and some options that are available out there. We have a couple guest speakers, and so I'm going to turn it right over to Byron and let Byron get started on the Next Steps Idaho website.
Yeah, thank you. And I just wanted to introduce Haley Robinson has joined us. Haley works for Strategy 360, which is the content vendor for the website. And so I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. Yay. So this is the landing page for the Next Steps .idaho.gov website. And this is a website that has recently been expanded thanks to the Workforce Development Council and our collaborative efforts. Katie Salas will be doing the second part of this, and so she can fill in some of the other information. Originally, the Next Steps website was a college and career resource for students and parents and counselors and educators 8th grade through 12th grade, but now it's been expanded from 8th grade into adults and all the different ranges with it. This is a really quick tour for that. And if you'd like to have a one-on-one or a small group, kind of extended second part with that, you can send me an email and we'll get a time scheduled. Stephanie or Roger have my email address, as seems like most of the Western world seems to have it at this point, judging by my emails this morning. So, I'm going to do, as I said, some of the basics with that. We have three major bits of buckets of information that we curate. One with careers, high school students, and education and training. Nearly all of the pictures on this website have been taken in Idaho with Idaho people. I tell people it's a long website. It's a scroll exercise for it. And at this point, in this part of the website, you'll see current initiatives. Apply Idaho is our effort for high school seniors to be able to apply to any or all of Idaho colleges or universities, all from one portal for your charge. We will change this periodically, and this will be one of the new tools that have been developed. I'll give you a teaser on Future Finder as we go a little bit further. Another way to get into information is through our resource library. These will be changing, and within another week, we'll have a search feature that'll also help evolve with it. By December 15th, we'll have an expanded calendar that will be able to expand to include any events that the libraries across the state, and particularly libraries in this grant, that might include with it. So, there are things that are continuing happening, and it is expanding as we go forward with it. One of the easy ways to kind of see how the information is curated is in the mega menu over here on this side. And right here are a series of quick links with it. Many of these are resource tools that help young people and adults try to find what their interests are, what their skills are. We have PlanSmart, which is a real look into the future and budgeting and access to careers. And Future Finder is a tool that is based upon the Holland Personality Code, where people, go through and answer questions indicating what they think they're good at, what they like to do, and then they are given an array of careers that might fit those types of personalities with it. In the bottom right-hand side, this is a direct link to the Department of Labor. And every time I click on it, it is slightly different. So I'm not going to click on it. They are keeping and expanding this. This will also get you to career planners at the Department of Labor. It will link to their career website called Jobscape. And as expanded apprenticeship resources are developed, they will most likely end up there also. We do have an ADA compliant little guy over on the side that can be used for visually impaired users of the website. But as you look all the way across the high school students, we have by grade level, and I am going to just show you a location of a whole variety of tools that might fit the adult population, the job seekers, the veterans, and anyone who's looking for, you know, a variety of additional resources. If you'll notice, I clicked on career readiness and exploration resources. This top part are activities for high school students. And we have curated those by grade levels with it. But here's what I wanted to show you on the very bottom. With the career readiness and exploration resources on the bottom, we have everything from college test preps to exploring career quizzes, resume, a really simple resume writer with that, national scholarship features, and information about financing education with it. So I'm gonna just, once you click on one of the boxes, here's some of the quizzes that are available. And as I said, this is going to just be a really quick teaser with it. One of the things that when we have been doing this, we meaning me, when I've been doing some of these things with high school classes and middle schools, I'd like to start with the work values inventory with it. And I started by saying for students, class is your work, but you know, this is a really quick inventory where people can answer what do they like to do, and what is important to them. Is achievement important to them all the time, somewhat important, or not important at all? And because this is a little bit different, I'm going to just randomly choose some and show you what the results might be with it. Everything is important to me at some point. And so that's the same pattern that got me into college with an SAT, the selection, the random selection, flexibility, not so important. These are just random. Oops. And how I like work interactions. Do I like to be the boss? Do I like to be a follower? And the last one. Many of the new tools that have been developed have the same type of navigation to allow people to look at this. And so you'll notice that the results can be downloaded with that. It can be taken. So here are the core values based on my answers with it. You know, the work environment says fast paced and location counts with it. Interacting, I'm pretty competitive. Like leadership and I like working in teams. And so those are some ways that people can begin to evaluate themselves and to see what might be of interest for them. Again, as we are going forward, I'm going to take you to the Next Steps website again. We have a great deal of information for families and for educators. And because of all the changes and everything from cost to closures, open dates, scholarships, and everything else, we have scholarship information, not just for high school kids or not just for college, any scholarship part. And we have a college directory with the information on all of the colleges and universities. Quick links right here. And for Roger and the teams, by December 1, we'll have veteran services that will be expanded into these sections. Will be a direct link to a person, a phone number, and parts of people on their website. And if you notice that the internet is never fast enough when you want it to be fast. We also have information about training, and these are areas that will be constantly expanding. Oh my goodness, look, here's a preview. Hey, Katie. So Katie's going to tell you about Launch and the resources that are available that are there. Those are external links that we have under training. The types of resources for 2- and 4-year colleges and the degrees. This is learning more about programs that might be of interest or available at the licensure. And if you click on this, it'll take you to the colleges and universities. And then the last one is the apprenticeship and work-based learning parts. Apprenticeships will be building themselves out, a lot more resources, and Katie will be able to tell you a little bit more about those apprenticeship programs. We also have a video gallery featuring some apprenticeship programs that are out there. And then also to be able, each of these on the very bottom have ways to learn more about that information. And I want to show you PlanSmart because I think this will be of interest and this can be done singularly or interacted or guided. The idea back behind PlanSmart is to help to provide a perspective about lifestyle choices, budgets, money, career options with it. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. PlanSmart, the data that's here is all Idaho-based data. And so we're going to select a town to live in. And I always kind of like Bonners Ferry with it. So all the data down below that has been adjusted to the information specifically to that community. When I'm looking at PlanSmart, I can say, okay, when I'm wanting to look in the future, do I want to make plans based upon a real minimal, just get by type of perspective? Do I want kind of a, everyman Joe perspective or average, or do I want to live large on and really expand my options with it? I'm going to go average with it. And then this allows the contributions to, are they the only money for that household, or do they have roommates or a spouse or partner that might be contributing? And so this all adjusts this in terms of trying to provide information up here. So each of these has an expanded box with it. It has a default setting, but I can adjust however I want. I don't want to own a house in Bonners Ferry. I'm just going to rent it. And my rent is almost $400, so I can adjust those things with it. I have to pay cell phone, trash, and I steal the internet from the next person with it. By transportation, which includes insurance and gas and those types of things. So you can see as it goes down, there's a lot of different options. It's a way to plan smart for it. Um, if there are existing loans on, like college loans or private loans, there's a way to adjust those. Food costs, entertainment. I want a really low clothing, so it's $60 a month. But as you can see, I also want to save $100.04 a month with it. So going through all of these or letting it default to it, it says that to live in Bonners Ferry and rent a home with the choices I have, here's the kind of minimum salary recommendations that we would have. This expands. It's that, boy, I'm spending too much on transportation related to everything else. So it's a way to look at PlanSmart with that. And then by selecting careers, it gives you some broad careers that fall within this minimum salary range with it. I'm going to say, here's the minimum salary range that's there. And again, these are generally Idaho based, but they're only updated once a year. I can sort by the demand or the shortest training period. I want to get through really fast, so I'm going to sort by the shortest training or no training with it. And as you can see, you can expand these things out, and here are options to just begin to think about a brief description with it, whether or not it requires education with it, and then a demand setting at this point. So on the PlanSmart, kind of an engaging type of activity and tool for that for you to consider. I'm going to kind of pull back just a bit and leave the menu up and say, okay, so there's a lot of stuff up here, but what I'm really looking for, because somebody asked me recently, chime in. Is there something that you're looking for? Because we're always looking for ways to expand this, but this is just really, really, really a teaser. As I said, I can do a longer individual training for one person or for a small staff with it, but comments, ideas, thoughts? So I was an elementary school teacher, so I can wait a full 30 minutes of silence if no one talks. So are there any comments, ideas, or questions?
I think that looks amazing. This is Jen from Glens Ferry. I have had somebody ask, like, that is a current teacher but is looking for different certifications or where they, might need to up or see what they need to get a different certification in teaching education. Is there a spot for that?
So our best way to get to that would be through one of the colleges and universities. Actually, the answer to it, it's a State Department of Education with it. But expanding into the adult certifications and licensure is something that we will be working on as we go forward with it. Currently, we also have links to proprietary training schools that are operating legally in Idaho, and that's on the State Board of Education websites with that. But as we're looking forward, those are some things to begin to think about. Are there any other questions before I do one more teaser? Okay. So we're going to do Future Finder. This, we've had it in the past, but we've expanded it to the adult population with it. This has more details with it. There are 3 categories here where people identify what their strengths are. And I have to pick 3 things that I'm best at. So you notice it fills through here. This, what do I like to do? What am I into? I don't like writing. I like working with numbers. I like talking. I'm not good at special relations, patterns. Love to read. Need to get out more. I try to pay attention. I like to organize things in routines. I'm not good at noticing roadblocks with it. Got a good memory. I learn by listening. I like to compare things. Coming up with ideas is something that I really enjoy. So then the last category is what do I enjoy doing? And this has it's least like me, sort of like me, or most like me. I do like giving speeches. I don't like to draw. I do like to help people. I'm sort of good at math. I like to work in an office. I don't like to work outside. I do like to lead. I'm sort of okay with it. I like to discuss ideas. Don't, and as you can see, and I'm going to go more quickly through here, I can't pass that one up. These are ways to kind of force people to think about what they might be, the things that they enjoy the most as they're looking at trying to think about new jobs and new careers that are out there with it. Believe it or not, high school kids will persevere through this, and that is because the information that is at the very end with it. And so with that, I'm going to go to the next step with it. And again, you can download the PDFs. Okay, so here are careers based upon, the answers, the personality code answers with that. It doesn't always come up. I was an elementary school principal for 38 years. So even with those random selections, it got really close with it. I enjoy this scattergram a lot because, the salary ranges which best match my interests are these large bubbles that are here. And this might be something, geez, that I might be interested in. If there's a good match, it is right here. And so if I'm wanting to make about $30,000, here's another way to begin to look at that. These are careers based upon what I might naturally like to do or what might be an interesting job. But let me just click on one of these as an expansion. These expand again into the demand, the earning power, the information that's available. And this springtime, you see here are the places in the state of Idaho that you can get those careers with that. So with that, I see my time is up, but just a quick tour with it. As I said, questions, comments, concerns, Roger and Stephanie can get you in touch with me. But every time you come to this website, there'll be something new or something different. We're in that expansion stage thanks to Workforce Development Council and the talented people that are at Strategy 360. So.
Thank you, Byron. Any questions for Byron? I mean, this is a powerful, powerful tool.
Yes, we're really pleased with it. And as as we continue, we will be doing some user testing on the website. So Stephanie and Roger will get an email from me for some recommendations for someone across the state to be in the user testing with it. We also periodically do listening sessions and focus groups. We're working with counselors and advisors right now, but as it gets closer to the springtime, because of the partnerships, we'll be looking towards librarians and libraries. So with that, I wanted to say thank you. And Katie, I've got to drop off to get back to another Zoom meeting. And Roger and Stephanie and everyone, thank you very much for the opportunity just for this teaser. So we'll see you guys.
Great. Thank you, Byron.
You bet.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to pass it off over to Katie. Katie's from the Workforce Development Council, and she's going to talk to us about launch. Katie, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. I am so glad that Byron got a chance to share all of the work that has happened on Next Steps over the past year. That has been quite an adventure, and I'm really excited about the tools that are there. As Byron mentioned, there are some plugs on Next Steps that do take us out to this other tool launch. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen at this point. So Idaho Launch was actually dreamed up by the Workforce Development Council Outreach Committee about a year and a half ago. And what we had initially imagined was this sort of space that would kind of help usher people before Next Steps was released for adults as well. And what we initially identified the Idaho Launch purpose to be was to take people through this regional journey of what jobs are available in their region and what training is also available in their region, and how can they marry those two things to move themselves forward in their own career progression. We had gone through all of that work and we're about ready to allow the site to go live in March of this year. And things really went on their head. And Wendy, our executive director, had a lot of foresight. And she had already been moving through our policy committee the ability for the Workforce Development Training Fund, which is really the pool of money that the Workforce Development Council has access to. It's about 4% of the unemployment that all employers throughout Idaho pay. And then we plug that back in the system to help with training and making sure that the workforce is really healthy through grants and now through outreach as well. And she had worked with the policy committee to actually allow for the policy to say that the Workforce Development Training Fund could be used for individual training as well. And this was kind of a moment because really the only way that these funds had been used in the past was by an individual employer coming to the Workforce Development Council and applying for a specific training plan, or by the colleges and employers coming together and saying, we have this plan for our community of how we can train this specific group up. But now it's kind of like, okay, well, we know that there are training needs for individuals that have no contact to these employers and who might be able to lift themselves up if they got access to these in-demand trainings. And actually a few $100s could be the barrier for them. And so when this hit, we had already had that policy cleared. The next step that we took was to go and apply for some CARES Act dollars, because a lot of people's employment was interrupted, or they were laid off, or they may have had to stay home for a couple of months. Any individual who has had their employment affected by COVID-19 is eligible for 100% coverage of their training that is eligible through launch. And I will walk you through where that is so you can get an idea. But if you had someone who was temporarily laid off back in March or April, they are eligible for 100% of their training costs through launch to get covered. They just need to get signed up quick. And so, because again, those CARES Act dollars, our deadline really to be able to help those folks out is going to be middle of December. So we need to get them signed up quickly. That being said, the launch program does not go away once that December 15th deadline hits. We are still able to help individuals with their training needs, and that can be a qualification for up to 90% of their training costs that we can cover. And that's all based on their household income. So we designed this brand new launch pad to help people get access to this training and to really connect with what employers are looking for in this moment. One of the things that we started out our work with this summer was doing a survey of employers throughout the state of Idaho. And we had 840 responses. This was a lot of responses from employers of all sizes all across Idaho. You know, we were really looking at, in order for the data to be valid, we were really only looking for about 200 responses. And so this was really exciting when we saw that employers are really looking for a lot of that information. And the first thing I want to show you as folks who may want more information about what launch is and what kind of data is in launch is, so, okay, first URL is idaholaunch.com. And if you need more information about what launch is, or you want some of those questions answered, in that main navigation, we have a section about launch, and that talks through the survey. That gives you some basic data of what employers identified in that survey. I don't really have time to go deeply into that data at this point in time, but if you have questions about that part of this project, please feel free to reach out to me and I can help get you some answers. What we learned in a nutshell is that almost all employers have actually tried to hire since COVID set in. So things have not slowed in Idaho the way that they have in a lot of the rest of the country. And a lot of employers are still looking. And what we, and I'm talking about myself right now, want to make sure and we're able to do is connect Idahoans with those employers and the skills that they might need to be able to work for those who are hiring. And the great part about launch is this is all short-term, non-credit based training. Most of it is stuff that they can do online. So really what we're looking about is these are the skills that these employers identified that they're going to be hiring for in the next couple of years. Every bit of training that is on launch right now was one of those skills that those employers identified, like, hey, we need this right now. And then we said, okay, how can we get this skill to our Idahoans who may not be able to leave their house right now, or who may, have certain restrictions, maybe trying to help their children through their schooling. I don't know who's doing that. Oh, me. While also trying to work from home, but, like thinking, okay, maybe I need to up my skills so that I can go for one of these other jobs. So I just got the look of death from my son, by the way. So let me take you to the homepage of Launch. really, there's a couple of different things, different pathways that I'll take you through. But the most important thing, if you leave this session with nothing else, what they need to do in order to be able to qualify for these funds is fill out this form, okay? And it's located right here at the top of the website. You have to trigger it by doing a little scroll down, but it's right there. And if you take away nothing else, take away the fact that we can't do anything, we can't connect them with any training funds if they do not fill out this form. It is really an easy form to fill out. All they have to put in is their name, they don't have to put in their phone number, their email, and their zip code, and whether they lost employment during the COVID-19. And then they hit apply for funding. What happens once they hit that apply for funding button is an email is automatically triggered that goes to the regional Idaho Department of Labor career planner. That career planner has been trained in the intake process for launch. They also walk them through other services that they may be available for. So if they qualify for WIOA, they go through a WIOA screening. They go through a number of other of our partner services screenings to make sure that, okay, this individual, we finally have them. Let's make sure that if they are eligible for other services that we can offer, that we're catching them in that net and at least getting them referred. We're also there running them through and saying, okay, what are you interested in? Where have you worked? What is your experience? You know, how can we get you connected with what might make sense in your life? Not just maybe some course that sounds appealing to them in the moment. We're really looking for something that actually builds on either where they're planning to go or maybe where they've already started. So the thing I love about this is they're connected with a real person who can have a real conversation with them about what options are available and what's going to make sense. So again, if you take nothing else away from this little tour, the most important thing is that they fill out that form. And we really do, if they've had COVID affected employment, they have to have that filled out by early December, or we're not going to be able to cover their costs with that CARES Act dollars. And the exciting thing about the CARES Act dollars is there's no limit on it. So we can fund some of the more expensive programs all the way for 100%. With the Workforce Development Training Fund, there is a $2,000 limit. So even if it's 90%, we can only go up to that $2,000. So this is a good opportunity for some of those folks at this exact moment. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the different pathways that individuals could go through. So like all of us, we come to the table with a certain set of skills. And this is, again, through the SkillSync tab. And what we do here is people can go through and identify skills that they may already come to the table with. So let's say I know that I come to the table with trustworthiness and adaptability because I've worked in customer service forever. You know, I don't have record keeping in healthcare. I do have social media and mobile marketing. So you're able to go through this skill list and identify what you already come to the table with. And there's a submit skills both at the top or the bottom. Once you do this, you're going to see some industries that align with the skills that you've already identified. What I like about this is it can sometimes break people's boxes of where they see themselves. So I mean, I'll be honest, this breaks my box. I don't really necessarily see myself in the construction industry. So I might look at this and say, wow, okay, maybe there are a couple of other schools that are skills that I could pick up and find myself in a completely new career path in a new industry. So what you can see is that in this industry, these are the skills that these employers identified as important to them right now. You have a lot of different choices in this pathway. And I would say the best thing to do is not get overwhelmed with the process. And really, if you're walking someone through this, just let them absorb information. All of it leads them to that form in the end, right? This is really just about like, okay, well, this is interesting. And it might pick someone up one way or another. They may be like, oh, wow, okay, aerospace. I'm really interested in that. Okay, and then eventually they get to what the actual training is. They're able to go and take a peek at these specific training programs that are supported by Launch. And again, we get to this form in the end. All of these are really just pathways that they might pick up some information. They might be able to say, hey, I went through the skills sync process, and luckily it actually pulls courses that they've been looking at and pulls them into the form. So the career planner will get this information once they're connected. And that leaves them not having to remember a couple of days later what they might have been shopping for when they're going through. So the skills sync is one way for people to go through. A lot of times people may not really identify what skills they have available to themselves, but they may really know like, hey, I'm not leaving my region. I want to stay in Eastern Idaho no matter what. So through this pathway, they're able to go into their region. They're able to see what industries responded to the survey. They're able to get some top level labor data from Idaho Department of Labor and say like, hey, what's going on actually in my region? They're able to see skills that were identified and requested by employers. And they're able to see jobs that matched up. And these are the jobs that, hey, people are asking for right now. All of these, again, take people down that same pathway of really getting to what is the training that was identified and that Launch can support. So it's another way to access the same pathway. It's just some people may think through this way. Again, most of the programs that Launch supports are online. So really you can take them from anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in Eastern Idaho or whatever, but some of them aren't. You'll see that some of the programs that we support on here are actually apprenticeships. And those are connected directly with the workforce training centers at each of the colleges. But luckily we offer one at each of the workforce training centers at each of the colleges. So you would be able to find that option for anyone, regardless of where they're at. So let's say they wanted to do the same pathway, but they're interested in doing it by industry. Maybe they know they don't want to leave healthcare. They're bound to healthcare. They want to stay there forever, but they may want to move in what they're doing. Again, they can see the things that those employers identified as important to them. As they click through, they can, again, take that pathway to get to the training that's been identified to give people these skill sets. And the last and probably most focused way is to get to the actual training itself. But again, people may not know. They may not have the self-knowledge to say, hey, I need to get into, I need to get specifically into a carpentry program. They may not know that. They may want to do a little bit more of the playing around, a little bit more of that exploration. But again, it takes you to those same pathways, and these types of programs are again going to pull through to that form, and people can see, okay, this is what I want. The career planner will see that. They'll walk them through that, see if it's a good fit. If it's not, then they'll maybe do something else. The other thing that's not on here yet that I would just want to give you guys a heads up is coming either this week or next week is we just contracted with a provider called Udemy. And we're getting their whole catalog of professional development courses. It's going to be about 5,000 different courses. They're going to map these, even little bits of their courses, to the skills that employers have identified. So the training that's available right now is all through the workforce training centers at each of our different colleges, or through Boise State or University of Idaho, but it's all through our state institutions. That's about to get blown open with a whole lot of new quality content. So pretty excited about that. We're actually able to offer 1,000 licenses to Udemy. When somebody gets a license, they're going to get access for about a year to all of the content available through Udemy. So we're able to give those licenses out to individuals who it may help, but there's like, Microsoft certifications, there's bookkeeping, there's contracting, there's, professional skills. Like if there's someone who maybe needs to develop a lot of their soft skills, this might be a really good opportunity for them to go in and get a lot of that really quickly. They also get certificates for everything they complete in there. So they have something that they can actually add to their resume and, show an employer, hey, I took this course in, contract management. And so I think I actually do know about how to keep track of contracts and whatnot. So there's a whole lot that's about to come to this. Just to point out, we also have this available in Spanish, the form available in Spanish for those non-English speakers. And the last thing I want to show you is this other piece. So the URL here is idaholaunch.com/toolkit. This is really a site that is only for our connectors. But on this site, you will find posters, you'll find flyers, you will find counter cards, you will find videos that explain not only just for a user what Launch is, but also for those who may be connecting. So if you have other folks in your libraries that you want to show, there's a mini video that kind of instructs how to use Launch with someone. So on this site, you'll find lots of assets. If you're wanting to do a social media post, we already have them here. You just have to download them. You can pull them up. We've got email text. We've got newsletter text. However you're wanting to reach out to people, we probably have something for you here that you can do that with. You'll also see a copy of our outreach calendar. We are hitting this hard via TV, via radio, via social media, digital marketing. Wendy, my boss, said she actually saw it on her game of Words with Friends the other night. So it's everywhere. Any way that you feel comfortable pushing this out to your networks, now is the time to do it. And I think that little extra bit of, we only have a little bit longer until this CARES Act dollars goes away. If you're planning on doing a push, I would love for you to do it before those dollars go away. So maybe we can catch some of those individuals who have been affected by COVID-19 and may want to skill up right now. So, that's my whirlwind tour. I'd be happy to, I see a question right here. Can someone apply for more than one course? So yeah, that's at the career planner's discretion. They are able to build programs for individuals. So that would be like, say, yeah, we think you should get a Udemy membership. We also think that you would benefit from, this customer service skills course at Lewis Clark State College. Yeah, you're able to build a program. Again, if it's through the CARES Act, there's not really a cost limit on that. But if it is through the Workforce Development Training Fund, that $2,000 cap would be the most that we could cover at this point. Any other questions? I don't know if you can tell, but I'm pretty excited about this site. just the ability to finally actually do something and take down that barrier of cost that I know affects so many people is really exciting to me. For these little things, they might just need a tiny little thing on their resume. Let's give it to them.
Katie, I was wondering how access through this type of training might differ from, say, your traditional WIOA pathway. Is it maybe more inclusive for people who might not qualify for WIOA or who may not have the time and energy to go through the entire Department of Labor's process for that?
So individuals are actually screened for WIOA before they go through launch. So if the individual qualifies for WIOA, and if the course that they are looking to take is one of the eligible training providers, then they will go through WIOA. This program, however, does not limit by income. So people who would not be eligible for WIOA are eligible through launch, especially for this CARES Act opportunity. There is no income requirement whatsoever. You just have to have been directly affected by COVID. So the WIOA umbrella will still catch a lot of those individuals, but our training list also covers a lot that's not there on that individual or approved training list. So I would say it's kind of like a Venn diagram.
I'm just curious, from the librarians who are here, do you know personally people who could benefit from this service and would be able to reach out to some of those folks right away? I see one head nod from Orofino area. And that's a tricky question too, but I'm excited about it too. I think it's a great service and a short time frame. So I'm going to ask Donna, our information officer, if she can put something out through social media and help spread the word too. But it may be a lot of, kind of one-on-one reaching out to people who maybe have, could use this.
I mean, when I was going through, I was kind of asking like, okay, let's say someone was laid off for 1 week back in March due to COVID. Are they eligible for the 100% coverage of CARES Act? And the answer was yes. So, I mean, this is a large net that's kind of cast out there, because I think a mom who has had to, cut back her hours to be at home with her kiddo would qualify for this. So it's a pretty large net as far as those CARES Act dollars go. But again, it doesn't end. We still will be able to support people's training even after those CARES Act dollars go away. And, some of the changes that they're looking at bringing on are, commercial driver's license or CDL, trying to be able to potentially pay for those full costs. I know that's a question that's going to come in front of our policy committee. So stay updated, maybe visit it every once in a while, or shoot me an email if you're curious. We will be adding training to this every month. We're actually bringing a list of about 30 new trainings to the policy committee this afternoon. So this is going to be an always alive site. So if someone's looking for right now isn't there today, it might be tomorrow.
Wow. Well, thank you, Katie. That is a lot of information to digest today. And so a lot of resources that didn't even realize they were available. And so if you guys have questions, or if you start, running into some things where you don't remember, please reach out to us and to Katie and utilize this powerful tool. It's amazing. Okay, if there's no questions, the next thing we wanted to touch base on was you should all have your publicity materials that have been mailed off, and so hopefully you all have gotten those. And we wanted to check with you if you had any questions on those. And but they're pretty good. And so Don is not online with us today, but if you had questions